Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about the importance of having a mentor and how Rachel Hollis inspired me to restructure my life. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Claudia Samayoa. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about the importance of having a mentor, especially a mentor that has accomplished the goals that you want to accomplish, that has a lifestyle that you want to have, and that started where you are and is now where you want to be. And speaking of mentors, my astrology teacher, Heather Ellen, was saying the other day in one of the classes that I was rewatching that it's very unlikely for people to be born without any retrograde planets. However, I don't have any retrograde planets in my chart, so I thought that was kind of weird. But also, I've noticed that every time Mercury is about to go retrograde, in the very early shadow period, something Mercury retrograde like will happen to me, and also at the very end of it. I just so happen to be born the day before the pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde, and it always gets me before and after. So I know for sure that it's impactful even though I wasn't born during the actual retrograde. And so today when I got home, guess what I found? And so shout out to my astrology teacher, Heather. I will definitely resend the candles. It says what Mercury retrograde does. It makes you do things twice. I would know. I've been dealing with this all my life, and now I know why. I will also link her YouTube channel below in case you guys want to learn more about astrology or even take her class. I highly recommend it. It's about a year long and it's very, very helpful. I will also link Haley Comet's YouTube channel down below, as she's another one of my favorite astrologers, very entertaining. And she does these weekly vibe checks where she talks about the energy of each day so you know exactly what to expect. And honestly, she's pretty dead on. I've been watching. She was also the first one to put our candles on YouTube, so I am forever grateful to her. That was very kind and very sweet, and I didn't even ask her to do that, so that was just very generous. So I will link them both below so you guys can learn more about astrology. I will talk about astrology in this channel here and there, but there's a lot of other topics that I'm going to be covering. Now, let's go back to November 2016, when Hillary Clinton ran against Donald Trump for the presidency of the United States of America. I don't want to talk about politics, but I will say that was the moment, the first moment, the most impactful moment in my life when I really thought, wow, who am I listening to? Who are my mentors? Who am I looking up to? Who am I allowing as a leader in my life to guide me through this world? So I just so happened to be in New York, totally unrelated. It's like near my birthday, so I was just out there trying to have fun, but I had signed up to get updates from the Hillary Clinton campaign. And so the day before the election, I'm checking my phone and I had this invite to go to the Javits Center. And I was like, are you kidding me? Yes, there's no chance I'm missing this. Absolutely. I think it was even free. And so I get up early the next day and I show up and there's so many people in line and everybody's dressed up and people are so excited. And I couldn't believe that I was going to be there live in the moment that we were going to have the first woman president, because, we were all sure she was going to win. And it was literally the most intense energy shift I've ever experienced. We're talking like everybody's in their highest energy. People are so happy. There's like this really high vibration energy going on. There's like this atmosphere of like possibility and excitement and just like change. And then the election starts to happen. And we're looking at the screens and we're looking at the states and they're just like red and more red and more red. And there was like this like almost like denial, this like sense of disbelief where you're like, no, any minute now we're going to start seeing blue everywhere. But it was just more and more red. And the energy there just dropped in a way that I've never ever felt before. It was like the most intense energy shift I've ever experienced. People were crying. People were covering their faces with their hands. People were on their phone. People were leaving. People were dropping their flags. I felt like depressed automatically. It was crazy. I remember calling my sister, who was in LA at the time with her boyfriend, and they just could not believe me. So much that they pulled over so they could watch the news because they just really thought I was playing with them. But also my sister could feel that I was not joking. And so now we were all in this like kind of like deep depression where we were just kind of like hopeful that somehow things would change, but deep down we knew it wasn't going to happen. Even my taxi driver couldn't believe it. I mean, it was just like this overall sadness that just like It was almost like this cloud of darkness had gone over New York, and I had never seen New York so depressed before. I'd never felt that energy there. I mean, it's such a lively place. And the next day, just walking by Times Square and watching everybody protest and just feeling the energy was just really, really crazy. I'd never experienced anything like that. And I think that's why all of a sudden I kind of like stopped and thought about it. Like, who are my mentors? Like, who do I look up to? Who am I allowing in my life to guide me? That moment impacted me so much that within like 2 weeks, I literally walked out of my job and never looked back. And it wasn't because my managers had all voted for Trump, although I remember texting them saying that the devil had won that night. And for the next week or so, I kept asking myself, like, who am I looking up to? Who are my leaders? Who are my mentors? What is their lifestyle like? Do I want to be like them? I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. I wasn't happy, and I was no longer tolerating that. I decided within that moment, and I guess it was a very liberating moment. I decided within that moment that I was going to make a very conscious decision of what I was going to do with my life and who I was going to look up to. And I really didn't know what I was going to do, but I did know that I had never been to Europe and I always wanted to go to Europe. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Europe. Like, why not? I'm free now, so I might as well. Up until that moment, I'd always had jobs that like would give you 2 week vacation time, but you could never take the 2 weeks together. So I was always taking trips to like the East Coast or wherever was kind of like local, but I always wanted to go to Europe. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to Europe. And so I started traveling all over Europe, all by myself. And you know what they say? When the student is ready, the teacher will show. And out of nowhere, in the wonderful land of YouTube, I came across the one and only Rachel Hollis. I was immediately captivated by this woman. She had so much energy, so much enthusiasm. She was so happy. She was so driven. She was so motivated. She had all the things I wanted. She was successful. I wanted to be successful. She had her own business. I wanted to have my own business. She was having fun. I wanted to have fun. And she was funny. She had like all the things that I was like, I want to be this person. And so I immediately became obsessed and just consumed all of her content. And through her, I came across so many other amazing mentors and just started to consume their content and became really inspired to do my own thing. Up until that point, I always knew I wanted to have my own business, but I didn't know how. And she was really good at explaining and motivating and inspiring me to do so. And then something magical happened. She announced that she was going to have a 3-day conference with people like Tom Bilyeu and Ed Milet and Marie Forleo and Brendan Burchard were all going to attend. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am totally there. So I got the ticket, booked a flight, booked my hotel, and I was ready to attend my very first conference. And like 3 weeks or so before the Rise conference even started, Gary Vee last minute announced that he was going to be at the LA Convention Center. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally there. So I went. So that ended up being my first conference. It was one day, but it was still so local. So I was like, I'm absolutely there. And I'm glad I went because I learned a lot from him and a couple of other people. But honestly, the 3-day Rise conference was amazing. And so I get there and I am so pumped. I've like never been so excited before. And if you ask me what North Carolina is like, I literally cannot even tell you because I was so laser focused that I just went to the hotel and then went to the conference and then back to the hotel, reviewed my notes, and then back to the conference and then back to the hotel, reviewed my notes. The only place I went to was like Starbucks and like got some food around there, but I didn't do anything. I was so inspired and I got to meet a lot of really cool people. Some of them I even still have on Instagram. There were so many people that flew from all these different states. I even remember the Starbucks barista asking like, who is here? We've never had such a massive crowd. Like we've been so busy these last couple of days. And I'm sitting there telling them, oh my God, it's Rachel Hollis. And I'm like writing her name down on like a receipt paper and like giving it to everybody there. Like, go check her out. She's so amazing. And I just thought it was so cool that this like awesome woman just had so much drive, such a strong dream, so much inspiration and so much motivation that she could literally impact so many people across the world to fly out there and be inspired. I mean, she motivated her own husband as well to leave his company. He used to work for Disney and to help her grow her brand, which is incredible. You don't really hear that too often, especially from a female entrepreneur. So I was really, really impacted by her. And I remember seeing her husband at the time, Dave Hollis, who was downstairs meeting people during one of the breaks. And even though I was upstairs because I couldn't afford the tickets below, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to run down there and see if he'll meet me. And he did. I'm so glad that I was feeling gutsy and just went for it, because I was able to tell him how much him and his wife inspired me. Even though it had only been like a year, I was really ready to change my whole life just based on this one person. Unfortunately, Dave Hollis passed away very recently at a very young age, and so I am forever grateful to him, and I am so glad that I was able to meet him before, because he definitely touched a lot of our lives. I also got to meet Melly Roncal, who has done Beyonce's makeup, another sweetheart, and just overall, I got to meet so many entrepreneurs from all over the world, and I was just greatly inspired by them, and I was ready to embark on my new journey. That was November 2019. So when I got home, I started kind of like planning on what I was going to do. I already had been studying the metaphysical world, so I knew that I was going to do something related to that. I just didn't know how I was going to put it together. I had also been making candles at this point for about 13 years, and I was kind of like, I had like an online store, but it wasn't really moving and I wasn't really focused on it. But at this point, I was really ready to expand my inventory and grow my brand. And then, of course, the pandemic happened, so we kind of all got locked down, and I was like, oh, darn, I was feeling like this fire within me. Like, I really wanted to, just start doing something, and now I couldn't. But I was spending so much time at home, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to start getting different product together. I'm going to start growing the website. I'm going to start advertising it more and just focusing more on it now that I have a lot more time. And then about a year into the pandemic, one of my friends, who is also a vendor, was like, hey, what are you doing at home? Like, let's do events. And he was located in San Francisco, but he kind of kept going back from San Francisco to LA. So I was like, okay, yeah, sure. So I started joining him in a lot of the different events in Los Angeles. And that was pretty fun. But then eventually he just kind of went north because he was having a lot more luck there, and I didn't blame him. So I decided to look in a different place. And I decided to take a class because I thought, you know what, I need a mentor that is like retail focused. And so luckily, Sophia Amoruso had a business class. And I thought, wow, I would much rather learn from her than go to school, because she has built 3 very successful multi-million-dollar companies from the ground up. Her first one, Nasty Gal, was a massive retail success. So I thought, yes, this is exactly the kind of mentor I want to have. So I signed up for her class, and I learned so much more about business. And I feel like that was honestly the best decision I could have made, was be very mindful of what kind of mentor I needed to have that I could learn from, who had not just the knowledge, but the experience. And about halfway through the class, I decided, let me try out some malls. I'd had so much retail experience as a manager, as a store manager in retail stores and in malls. And I knew that there was a lot of traffic there. So I thought, you know what, let me go ahead and try it, even just for a weekend or so. So I called a couple malls and leased a couple spaces just to try them out, and ended up doing really well in one of them. So I stayed there for a year and a half. Initially, I had only leased the space for 3 days, and I really didn't have any intention of staying there longer. But I was meeting a lot of cool people. I was making a lot of great friends, and the brand was doing really well. So I just kept extending it, and one more month, another month, another month, and little by little, I was bringing out my spiritual side. I was a little bit afraid at first to kind of like introduce like manifestation candles and things like that, but little by little, I picked up on the fact that my audience was really inspired by that, which was really cool, because when I was 18, that was the first time that I worked with a lot of psychics, and I was able to learn meditation, tarot, psychometry, all these other beautiful things. And so I thought, wow, this is so cool. I can incorporate all these things that I'm fascinated by into my brand, because the audience is so receptive. And that's when I decided to take an astrology class too, because why not? I just wanted to grow my brand more and just kind of sharpen all the different aspects of it and just make it better. And now that I have seen the true potential of my brand, I decided to leave because it was a small space and I was very limited to the things that I could do, but also I really want to grow it. And it was very limiting, you know, being there all the time, being there through the entire mall schedule, having no days off, and having really high rent for a really small space just didn't really make sense. So now here I am, and you guys are all about to see where this journey leads me to. And so, in conclusion, that is why I made this video today, because I sincerely do not think this would have happened as quickly as it has had it not been for Rachel Hollis, who sincerely inspired me to just go for it, to just be bold, to just embrace who I am and what I really wanted to do and express that in a brand. And so I am forever grateful for her and for Sophia and Amoruso. I hope that I get to meet them in real life one day so I can tell them how much they impacted me and how much they helped me to change my life. And I sincerely hope that one day you find a mentor who can help you to achieve all the dreams, or guide you more so, to achieve all the dreams that you want to achieve in this world. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like and subscribe. I always forget to mention that at the beginning, but whatever. It's the content that's important, right? Have a blessed day, guys. Thank you.